going to Ebenezer school, I'm always amazed that the teacher was able to have so many different grades in the one class and be able to work with the students and keep everybody working on different things, and maybe the older ones help to teach the younger ones, that kind of thing. What experiences do you remember from that?
Well, I think you're right. The older ones did, because there was 8 grades, 8 rows of desks, 1, 2, 3, 4, right up to the 8th grade. So the 8th grade was when the school was you're facing the north, the 8th grade was in the 8th row and the 1st grade was in the 1st row. First day I went to school, because we knew all the Fagans and we knew some of them were older. Of course, Mary Fagan, she was in grade 8 when I went to school. And of course, I didn't know anybody in the school. I was kind of shy, so I went and sat in the grade 8 row. That didn't last very long, because Miss Parfit, I think, was the teacher at the time, and she moved me back to the 1st row. You're right, the 8th grade, you watched them, usually they started off with the 1st grade and give us something to do in the 2nd grade, and the 3rd grade, and the 4th grade. And sometimes when they got to 6 and 7, some of them worked together, right? You know, the kids, if there wasn't a lot on each one. I guess we started the school at 9 o'clock in the morning, the bell rang, and at 4 o'clock, that was the day it was over, and you got 15 minutes recess, 10 to quarter after, an hour for lunch, and sometimes you had a break in the afternoon, not very often. We used to go, the marsh was just down the road, so when the ice was good, we'd go skating down there. But we were sometimes late coming back after dinner because we'd get skating for quite a while. The teacher never really said too much to us because we weren't doing anything wrong. We were just getting some real old-time exercise down there. Play baseball. We used to play 21 school, that's back in Tiny, Evergreen School, Wirebridge School, and there was, I don't know, there was maybe another one or two. Sometimes Waverly we'd play, so we'd have ball games in the summer. And I remember going to Evergreen, and they had a nickname for her. She was, they called her Tarzan. She was a pitcher. You had to be good to hit a ball for her. She did a good job, but we had our fun. Our ball diamond was right by the school. We used to knock a lot of windows out, and I used to spend a bit of time putting windows back in. Mr. Ellis, he was, in them days they had an inspector come to the school, and he would check, you know, to see how the teacher was teaching us. And he had one arm, and he wore a leather. I always remember that when I was young. That's the first person I ever seen with he had a leather glove. I don't know if it was a left or right arm. An awful nice man. Mrs. Self, she'd come and teach music lessons once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and he'd just back and forth. And I couldn't sing. I wasn't meant to sing. But anyway, we had concerts there. And my dad used to be Santa Claus once in a while, and I didn't realize that for the first year or two, but I kind of they had a lot of fun doing that. We used to have Arbor Days, and some days we'd clean up the schoolyard, the kids, eh? And then some of the teachers, these teachers would be 2 years, they were just, you wouldn't call, they'd call them supply teachers, but they looked after the school. They come out of grade 12 when they had to teach school 2 years before they went to teachers college back in them days. So we'd have a different teacher every 2 years usually. You wouldn't have the same teacher for all. And the year before, like my brother was 4 years ahead of me. And before I started, I think they had 4 or 5 teachers that year. It's like everything else. Eh? They just had, some of them got sick or whatever, they changed around. We always had lady teachers. I never had a man teacher till I went to high school. They were all girls and young girls, and Miss Dixon, and there was Karen Hornsby. she did drive. She had a Volkswagen, and she'd pick us up at the corner from the Penetang Road and go over. And the Volkswagen was the coldest car living in them days. It was 40 below zero. It was 40 below zero in the car. So I guess some of us were there, and you know the Volkswagen, the motor was in the back. And she'd come in, there was 2 maple trees. There's still 2 maple trees there where she'd come in. And we'd take the car, pick it up by the bumper and turn it around so it was heading outside. Some of the tricks we'd play. And some of the guys would get up on top of the school roof, and that wasn't good news. They were getting in trouble with the teacher. I guess we had what you'd call bullies in them days, but there was always a rude reckoning for our bully because we were all friends and we always got along. But if somebody was what they talk about bullying now, they usually got straightened out people got them straightened out nowadays. I think now we have maybe just a few too many rules. And discipline was a thing that we got when we were being raised up. And I think the teachers realized that, never got the strap. Some people did. But I think it hurt the teacher more to give somebody the strap than it really did hurt the people that were getting them. So we had no real bad guys there, actually, what you'd call.